The top 5 ways to retire by the time you're 30. Often people think of retirement as this goal long into the future, and I'm not even sure I like the term retirement. I'll talk about that a little bit in the video. And maybe retiring by 30 isn't the goal you should set. Maybe it's being in a position by 30 so that you're spending your time doing the things that you love, being productive, making money, and being an investor. Maybe that's your goal by 30, rather than the name retirement, which doesn't always appeal to many people. But let's talk about the 5 ways you could retire by the time you're 30. Let's talk about an American dilemma, because retirement is this thing that many people are brought up talking about or thinking about, and that's this thing you get to at some age way into the future. But there's kind of a dilemma even about the term retirement. And what is the American dilemma? It's that retirement is a lot less about turning 65 and more about having enough wealth to coast on. Unfortunately, 55% of Americans admit to not saving enough for retirement, and yet some people retire decades early. Here are some of the ways to accomplish that. When it comes to retiring early, there are some tricks. There are some things that you can do to dramatically move up that date when you just have enough assets to coast. And I want to go through those right now. The first way to retire earlier is a side hustle. And what is a side hustle? It's to supplement your regular income with a side hustle like social media marketing. That way you can set up a money-making system to build a nest egg while your living expenses are low as a young adult. So getting more income, getting more money coming in makes it easier to save, to invest, and to build a nest egg and to get wealthy so that you don't have to work anymore. The key to a side hustle is, remember, you're getting your time and your money to work for you. So if you don't have enough money, there are all kinds of side hustles that you can take part in that can bring more money into your household. And then investing that money moves you forward in that wealth building journey. But a side hustle could be something that you have interest in or something you have a skill in, something you could spend your time doing rather than sitting and watching streaming videos on your computer. So how can you use your time and your money and leverage that to retire earlier? But let's talk about the second thing that will help you retire earlier. The number 2 way is become a DINK, dual income, no kid. Team up with your significant other or a business partner to double your income potential while limiting living expenses. This strategy is also known as FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early. Now, I'm not here to be a kid hater and tell you not to have kids because they're expensive. Really, the point is increasing your income and reducing your expenses. And one way to do that is by having a dual income, by having another partner or with your spouse, and make sure you're maximizing the money-making opportunities. And then limiting expenses. So when you're young, not getting on a spending spree where your lifestyle is difficult to maintain. So think about becoming a DINK. Number 3 is geographic arbitrage. Do you think it costs more or less to live in different parts of the country? Absolutely. So there are expense differences across the country. I think you know that New York is more expensive to live there than it is to live in Des Moines, Iowa. But what about income? Is that different as well? Yeah, you get paid more working in New York than you get paid working in Des Moines, Iowa for the same job. So how can you arbitrage that? What if you worked remotely from Des Moines, but for a New York company? So you're getting paid New York income and living on Des Moines expenses. And that's what we're talking about here with number 3, with the geographic arbitrage. This strategy involves taking a high-paying remote job, then moving to another state or country with a significantly lower cost of living. Digital nomads utilize this strategy with great success. So how could you use this? Is there a way you can get a job paying at a higher geographic rate, but live in a different geographic area? If you could take advantage of this arbitrage. Number 4, start a business. This has been the key to me and my wife, Mimi. We started a business. And starting a business can be the most probable way that you get really wealthy. I don't mean just comfortable, but really wealthy. And why do I say that? Well, I say that because number 4 is start a business. 88% of self-made millionaires are entrepreneurs. Starting a business is never easy, but if you can find a creative way to solve an urgent problem for people, you can make a fortune for yourself at a young age. Most of the wealthiest people in America were business owners. You know, it's funny, I was watching an interview a couple of years ago with Jeff Bezos, and they asked Jeff Bezos, what question do you get asked all the time? And he said, I get asked, what's going to change in the next 10 years? And then he went on to say, But the question I don't get asked, that I should get asked, is what's not going to change in the next 10 years? Because it's easier to build a business based on what's not going to change than based on what's going to change, because no one really knows what's going to change, but what's going to stay the same. So in this case, what's going to stay the same? I think 10 years from now, we're still going to say 88% of self-made millionaires were business owners. I think that's going to be the same. I don't think we're going to say 88% of self-made millionaires own crypto. I don't think it's going to change like that. So one way you can become a self-made millionaire is by starting a business. Number 5, invest early and invest often. The sooner you get started, the more you can build wealth due to the compounding effect of investments. Now, of course, you need to invest in things that are going to grow and not just store your money away idly on the side. But let's talk about number 5. Put compound interest to work for you by investing even a small amount into the stock market consistently, or save up and buy a piece of real estate. Watch as the power of appreciation takes care of your retirement for you. This is a really important point, and that is the power of compounding. Most people underestimate the power of compound interest. So let me give you a couple examples. So for one, Warren Buffett, who's been investing since he was 14 years old, 95% of his wealth came after he was age 65. Why? Because of the compounding effect. So let me give you an example. Let's say on January 1st, you invested $1, and that doubled to $2 on January 2nd. And that doubled to $4 on January 3rd, and then $8, and then $16, all the way till January 31st. How much money do you have on January 31st? I'll give you the answer. It's $1,073,742,000. So yes, in 31 days, you became a self-made billionaire. You became a billionaire in 31 days. But here's the key. What if you just missed a week? What if you just started on January 8th with $1 that doubled to 2, that doubled to 4, that doubled to 8? How much would you have on January 31st? $8.3 million. So you went from 1.743 billion to 8.3 million. That's a big difference. That's 99% less. And you may not realize the difference between a million and a billion, so let me give you an example. When I was a math teacher, I used to ask students, how long does a million seconds take to go by? About 11 days. That's the answer. About 11 days for a million seconds to go by. How about for a billion seconds? 32 years. 32 years for a billion seconds to go by. So a billion is not a little, it's just a lot bigger than a million. And think about our government spending $1 trillion. I don't even want to get into that. But know the difference between a million and a billion, and the difference is compound interest. So how long you're investing consistently makes a huge difference in how soon you can retire. When you think about these 5 ways that you can retire earlier, I want to challenge you to redefine that word retirement. I don't like the word, and here's why. Retirement implies you get to a certain moment and then you stop doing anything. You sit on a rocking chair, you go to a beach, and you don't do anything. And you might be saying, I would love just to go to a beach and not do anything. And I can tell you from entrepreneurs I've known who've tried this after they sold their business, after a while, they're miserable. Why? A key to happiness is being productive and progressing as a human being. And if you're not being productive and you're not progressing in your life in any way, you're going to get depressed, you're not going to feel good about yourself, and you're not going to feel good about your life. So really, retirement shouldn't be something you get to in a place or an achievement or a destination. It should be more about getting to a point where you can do the things you love. You can do the things that you want to do, when you want to do them, how you want to do them. And that's really financial security. And that's also choosing a path so you can have a life, a work and a personal life wrapped around things that you really care about. So redefine retirement, think about these 5 things, and hopefully you'll get to your financial freedom many decades before you might think. Thank you for watching this video. I invite you to go ahead and click and watch the next one to continue learning with me.